Coming up on today's broadcast, we will look back at a slugfest of a win at SMU last Friday night, a victory that moves BYU to 2-0 for a fifth consecutive season. 18-15 the final score, as the game-winning points came on a Will Farron field goal in the closing moments. Our guest today, our BYU Offensive Coordinator and quarterbacks coach Aaron Roderick, and Associate Head Coach, Safeties Coach, and Defensive Coordinator Jay Hill. We start today's show by saying hello to BYU OC Coach Aaron Roderick. Good to see you once again.
Good to be here.
Very nice win on Friday.
It was a good win. It was a bit of a grind, and we had some self-inflicted wounds, but we were playing against a very good defense, and I was really proud of our team for overcoming adversity and finding a way to pull it out. Now,
SMU was 2-0 coming in. They were on a 9-game home win streak. They'd been averaging 54 points a game in those 9 wins, which is crazy. So they're on a bit of a roll. But defensively, which you're most focused on, they were arguably as good, if not better, on that side of the ball last year than they were on offense. Yeah. They were really good on offense. Some big boys up front in particular, some next-level looking guys, actually. What kind of challenge were you anticipating going in?
It was what I expected. They were very good on defense, very athletic, big up front. And just a lot of speed on the field, and they're good at what they do. You know, they were very good on defense last year too, and now we definitely made some mistakes that were of our own doing for sure. But it's a good defense, and you know, gotta take the win any way you can get it.
BYU's defense, that is, did a great job getting you the ball in a good spot to start the game, and you got tight. I want to bring this up because you got tight end Reiner Swanson. His first career catch in that opening drive. What can you tell us about Reiner Swanson?
Reiner can run really fast. He's a big guy who can run, and he's going to be a future star in this program. He missed a lot of fall camp with an injury, and that's why you haven't seen him yet. In fact, you can see the ankle taped up there. But he is full go now, and we're getting him a few more practice reps every week, and we'll try to keep finding ways to use him more. He missed a lot of camp, so he's a little bit behind.
So is he kind of being eased back in a way?
Exactly. Yeah. We're finding ways to get him back involved. Yep.
Okay. Well, that's good. And as you said, that was his only grab on the night, I think, but there's more to come for him.
For sure.
Okay. No damage done, by the way, after something that happened early. It was a wild game because there were 6 takeaways, 3 for each side. And the first one came in the first drive. Jake got raked, if you will, on what kind of looked like he didn't expect the guy to be where he was, or vice versa on that handoff.
Jake and Connor had a little mix-up with the snap count, and so the ball came a little later than it should have, and then we were not able to hand that jet sweep to Cody. But now what Jake needs to do is just protect the ball. Just put 2 hands on it, get down. You know, there's no sense in trying to run right here. We just need to put it away, protect it, and play the next down, and don't make a bad play worse, basically.
Is that basically when he comes off to the sideline? Is that the conversation?
Yeah, that is the number one thing. That's for all players. Don't make a bad play worse. Sometimes we hand the ball to the running back. Something's not blocked well. Don't run backwards. Get forward, get vertical, get what you can, and protect the football.
The damage was mitigated, though, because defense did its job for BYU. And you got the ball after a punt, put together an 8-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. No 4th downs needed this time, but a huge play on a 3rd down. It was originally ruled a no catch on the field. They reviewed it to a catch. It would have been a stick mover anyway because there was a roughing the passer on the play, as I recall. But a really nice job by Keelan to make a big gain even bigger.
Keelan made a great catch. Jake made a really nice throw to get it to him because the coverage wasn't perfect for the play call. They did a nice job. They did some different coverage things early in the game, trying to take away our outside receivers, and that was just a great catch, coming down with it there.
And he felt he made it. He said initially.
We got the roughing penalty as well,
right,
which really helped.
So Jake takes the hit there, and then Keelan, they did on review, give him the catch. So at the end of run, another 15 yards, and you're set up then 1st and 10 from the SMU 16. And for the second time in as many weeks, Mataba Tase was your target in the red zone.
Yeah, and it was a similar play to the one he scored on last week. We gave it a little bit different window dressing, but did a nice job.
Did he land on the ball? Is that what happened?
He just knocked the wind out of him.
Yeah, they wanted to celebrate with him. He's like, no, yeah. They said, hold up on this, because he was not in a celebrating mood after landing on the ball, and he stayed down a little bit, but he's all right.
Jake had to put it a little high just to make sure he gets it over the backers there, and it was a great catch by Tava to come down with it.
Does look really similar to the SIU play, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So last week in the SIU game, no offensive 3-and-outs against FCS, but much better opposition in week 2. Really good defense. They did a nice job forcing you into some of those 3-and-outs on Friday.
We were not having success on 1st down. That was the real problem in the game. Was lack of success on first down was leading to second and long, and consequentially we had a lot of third and longs, and third and long is not a good formula for scoring points, and so we have to play better on first down this week.
Didn't help that you lose LJ Martin late in the first quarter either.
That didn't help at all, yeah, because LJ has been playing really well, and even in this game he had some good runs before we lost him, and so that was a factor for sure.
Anything you can say about LJ's status moving forward?
Just that he's doubtful this week. Yeah, we're probably not going to have him.
Okay, so you're trying to find answers at running back in the absence of LJ Martin, and lots of guys got looks on Friday.
Yeah, and I thought guys stepped up. Falau had a few good plays, and then Enoch Nawahine and Miles Davis both had a big impact in the fourth quarter at the end of the game, and did some really good things. There
was a sequence, I think, second quarter, where Hinckley, on a 2nd and 10, I thought he almost moved. I thought he got the first down, actually. The spot I didn't think was great.
Yeah.
Set you up 3rd and 1 and then 4th and 1. Those are the hard yards, right? And when you're most comfortable when you got a guy like Tyler Algier comes to mind, where you know 3rd and short, 4th and short, you can just pound it and get that first down.
Yeah, that was a really good run by Hinckley, and I thought, I'm sure we'll get to it, but the 4th down conversions were a big part of the game. We were able to convert on those.
That was one that didn't go, but the others that came in big spots were going.
Yeah,
and you've been good on conversion downs.
We were 2 for 3.
Yeah.
2 for 3 on 4th down, and the two we converted were huge plays in the game. You'd love to go 3 for 3, but that's part of going for it a lot on 4th. If you go for it on 4th, you're not going to get them all. And but we follow. We have a plan, and we follow that plan, and more often than not, it leads to winning if you stick to the plan.
It was tough sledding for the offense in the second quarter of that game Friday, but the defense had your back all night, forcing SMU into settling for long field goal tries.
They did. Defense did a great job, and we put them in a couple tough situations, and they battled out of it every time. And difference in the game is they kick 5 field goals, and we find a way to get a couple touchdowns and that game-winning field goal, and that's the difference.
First half for you guys ended almost exactly the way it did in the SIU game. You got the ball in the last minute with a chance to go set up for a field goal try, and you did exactly what you wanted to do, but it was just a long field goal that Will just missed left.
Yeah, Jake did a good job in the 2-minute drill. He's been really good in 2 minutes. The end of the Oklahoma State game, the end of the half last week, and the end of the half this week, just doing a nice job running our 2-minute drill. And we gave ourselves a chance. It was still a long kick for Will, and so we, no loss of belief at all in Will. We would have liked to have gotten a few yards closer for him, but we did give ourselves a chance there.
And BYU went into the locker room trailing, but only by 2 points. When we come back, we'll see how the BYU Cougars came back for a big win in Big D as we visit with OC Aaron Roderick. As we head to break, this reminder to join Dave McCann and Blaine Fowler and David Nixon tomorrow night for a brand new episode of After Further Review as they break down the film in BYU's win against SMU and look ahead to Wyoming. That's tomorrow, 7 Eastern, on the BYUtv app or ESPN+. When we come back, more with Coach Roderick as the Coordinator's Corner continues. We're brought to you by JCW's The Burger Boys.
Coordinator's Corner is presented by JCW's The Burger Boys and Intermountain Health, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
We're back on the Coordinator's Corner and spending some time with BYU Offensive Coordinator Aaron Roderick, looking back on BYU's 18-15 win at SMU last Friday night in Dallas. With the win, the Cougs now 5-0 all-time against the Mustangs, and BYU's also a perfect 5-0 in short week away games in the Kalani Sitake era. On that note, BYU's played 11 short week Friday games in the Sitake era, meaning Friday game after a Saturday the week before. 5-0 on the road in those and 9-2 overall. Is there anything to the way that BYU uses its limited time that leads to that kind of record?
I think it's just a tribute to our players. We have smart, players who are diligent about preparing and doing what they're supposed to do. And I think, we talked a lot last week about both teams have a short amount of time. Let's use the time better than they do. And I think our players, we just have the type of guys that are going to do what they're asked, and that's the explanation I have.
Back to the game. On Friday, you were trailing 9-7 at the break, and unfortunately, first drive of the second half ends the way the first drive of the first half did. Jake was trying to make a play under pressure.
Yeah, we had a protection error, I would call it. It was SMU's most common blitz against our most common pressure, and we had a mistake, didn't pick up that blitzing linebacker, and then, but again, what Jake needs to do here is just take the sack, just eat it. Right here, he's wrapped up, trying to do too much. He knows it, you know, and there's worse things than a sack. You know, play second down, live to play the next down. Don't make a bad play worse again.
There's also worse things than having a guy that believes he can make a play. You want that in your quarterback in a lot of ways too.
You do, and that's you know, he's a playmaker and he wants to make a play there, but that's one where we need to eat it, and we need to protect against the blitz better first of all, and we you know, that's something we will correct today.
It was in the third quarter that you turned to Utah State transfer running back Enoch Nabahine, and one of the biggest plays of the game came on a fourth down in the third quarter. You're in scoring position, 9-yard line. Field goal draws you to within 2, but a touchdown gives you the lead, and you hand the ball to Enoch.
Yeah, and it's actually, we were trying to throw the ball to Chase. We had a little pick play. We're going to throw it to Chase. And it's throw it if you can, hand it off if you have to, basically is the mindset. And they dropped into zone, dropped their defensive end right under the throw to Chase. They were banking on us throwing it. And so Jake made a great decision to hand it to Enoch, and the O-line and tight ends really came off the ball, and it was a really pretty run play. Okay,
in the booth, in the moment, when you see what's happening, are you 100% confident of what Jake's going to do in that moment?
Yeah, we've practiced this many times, and he knows what he's supposed to do, and he executed the play well. So I mean, sometimes just handing it off is the quarterback making a good play. In that case, he did a nice job, because you know, it's tempting. You want to throw the touchdown pass or get the first down, you know, but SMU was banking on us throwing, and they dropped into zone.
When you saw that, were you feeling pretty good?
They dropped their 295-pound D end, which just left a huge gap open for us, and then we had to block everybody else, but the play was well executed.
And well called. The play before the Nabahine touchdown was an 8-yard completion to Keanu Hill, and the play after the TD was a completion to Keanu Hill for a 2-point conversion. Terrific catch by Keanu on this.
Both were good catches. The hitch that he caught was a little bit low, and he did a nice job to make the catch. And then this is what we've been seeing Keanu do his whole career, right? Is make great plays, and this was the Keanu we all know.
How do you think he's coming along as a tight end in your offense?
He's doing a lot of good things. We need to keep developing him in some areas, but the one thing he can still do, as always, is he makes plays, contested catches. That's what he does best.
And on Friday night, BYU's defense kept making plays. SMU drove deep into BYU territory twice in the fourth quarter, and BYU came away with takeaways both times.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, they played so well against a team that has scored a lot of points historically. Yeah,
so this way, and we'll talk more about this with Coach Hill, of course, but one of the better plays you're going to see a defensive back make with his back to the sideline to get the toes down.
Yeah.
And great to have Mark Collins as part of that group. Again, we'll hit more of that with Coach Hill, but the defense was standing tall. This is the fumble forced that came after the pick deep in BYU territory, and Jacob, an alert play, they reviewed it, gave it back to BYU. 2 massive plays for the defense there that helped the offense. Of course, the end game in this game came in late in the fourth quarter. SMU's 5th field goal of the night ties the game at 15. You get the ball back with 6 minutes and 17 seconds to play. You went on basically a 4-minute drive that ended in points, which is exactly what you needed to do, right? Use clock and score. The drive begins, I think it was an important catch by Chase just to get you going a bit on that. But the play of the game comes on the 4th and 1 at the BYU 48-yard line. Your side of the field, tie game, 4th and 1.
Yeah, the tricky part was we knew the play. We had a good idea the play was going to work, and we lined up in the play, and they called timeout. And so we talked about, sometimes you talk yourself out, well, should we do something else now?
Okay.
We decided to stick with it, and it turned out exactly as we had practiced, and it was very well executed by everyone.
I mean, they're on Jake pretty quick there. He's got to make a quick.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be cover 0. They were going to bring everybody, and we felt like by bringing the miles from the other side of the quarterback, that the linebacker that has him man-to-man would have a hard time getting there. And that's exactly what happened.
And because we weren't seeing LJ and weren't seeing Hinckley, it was Enoch Nabahine and Miles Davis, and Miles has been making plays for you over the last few years.
He has. I'm proud of him. He has a great attitude, and he never complains. He just shows up and plays, and that was a perfect play for him because he has speed. You know, he's probably our fastest running back, so it was nice to have him in the game on that play.
Set you up 1st and 10 at the SMU 15. You're in position for go-ahead points now. How did you want to play that series of downs?
Well, you want you'd love to score a touchdown, and really that would be ideal. But you also want to use some clock. And number one, most important thing though is you want to take care of the football. So we were, our play calls, we gave Darius a chance right there to end it, and then this play we were trying to get the ball to Chase there on a slant, but they dropped underneath it, so we hit the check down. I thought the players executed those plays well. Just to you want to score, but you don't want to risk turning it over either. You got to be smart about it, and we have so much faith in Will, so we put it up to him there at the end.
And he hits the field goal to make it 18-15. The defense held SMU to no yards on the ensuing possession. And they were working on a short-ish field. They got it at the 40, only needed about 30 yards to put themselves in field goal territory. Yeah,
that field position wasn't ideal. But again, the difference in the game, though, is we get points 3 times in the red zone, and they kick a bunch of field goals, and so that's the difference.
Is it true that every OC's favorite play call is in victory formation?
Yeah, it's nice to end the game in victory.
That's what you got to do to close this one out and kind of kneel out the win, which is really nice. On the road against a favorite opponent, power conference opponent now, a solid way to get to 2-0.
It is. We want to play better. There's a lot of things we can do better, but we were 11-point underdogs against a team that won 11 games last year. The plays in the ACC now. They had a lot of good players on that field, and I'm proud of our players for finding a way to win.
No win is exactly like every other, and indeed, this is the first win in BYU football history in 100 seasons of football by a score of 18-15, so you got that going for you.
Wow.
It's been a lot of games played, and that's the first 18-15 we've seen.
Interesting.
Kalani has won a few games in which they score fewer points. The Arizona game in 2016, the Sam Houston game last year, and this game last night are all top of mind. And if you don't allow a touchdown, you got a pretty good shot to win. That's the 6th time that Kalani's teams haven't allowed a touchdown, and not surprisingly, it's 6-0. It's a good way to go about business.
It is.
Okay, that's Coach Aaron Roderick on BYU defeating SMU 18-15. Just before we hit the Offensive Player of the Week for you, the value of winning that kind of game, where you score maybe not as many points as you'd like to, but it feels complimentary in a lot of ways. The defense had your back, and when you had to make a play, a big drive, you did. Just the value in that kind of win.
Yeah, I think good teams find a way to win even when they're not playing at their very best. And I think we showed some character. We made some mistakes, but nobody flinched. Everybody stuck together, kept trying to work the game plan. And, in some of those key moments there at the end of the game, we were able to pull it out. That last drive, taking 4 minutes off the clock and getting points, said a lot about the character of our players. And, it's style points. We'd love to have, a few more points on the board and play better and all that stuff. We'll work on that stuff, but we got the win.
It's 2-0. Yep.
2-0 and moving on to Wyoming.
Let's get to your Offensive Player of the Week from the SMU game. Who'd you like?
Caleb Etienne. At 2 games in a row, he's played very well. And I'm really proud of Caleb. It's no secret that he had some struggles last year, and he has played well in both games and playing with just very physical and doing a great job in pass protection. He was going against some very good pass rushers Friday night and did a nice job. And he had a key block on this 4th down play right here. Yep.
Biggest key maybe to one year to the next for him. What do you think it's been?
Just confidence. I think a year ago he was new in our offense. He didn't know the offense as well as he does now. And I think it's just a year in the system, he's just a totally different player.
After the break, a look ahead to Saturday in Laramie as the Cougs play their 2nd consecutive away game in a bid to go 3-0 for a 2nd consecutive season. This Saturday, you're invited to tune in to Cougar Pregame Live on BYU Radio. We'll be on the air at 7 Eastern, 5 Mountain, as the Cougars take on the Wyoming Cowboys at War Memorial Stadium. As we go to break, a reminder that dinner after the game at JCW's includes something for everybody, from burgers to wings, shakes to salads. JCW's, quality and a lot of it in Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, and Harriman. Coming up next, our final segment with BYU Offensive Coordinator Aaron Roderick. You're in the Coordinator's Corner, brought to you by JCW's The Burger Boys. Welcome back to the Coordinator's Corner, visiting with BYU Offensive Coordinator and QB Coach Aaron Roderick. Before He gets a week off on this show next week. Coming up just after the bottom of the hour, we'll talk with BYU defensive coordinator Jay Hill. BYU now 2-0 for a 5th consecutive season after Friday's 18-15 win at SMU, the win snapping the Mustangs' 9-game home win streak. So next up, BYU and Wyoming. The Cougs playing in Laramie for the first time since 2009. Coach Roderick, what are your personal recollections of road games at Wyoming as a player and as a coach?
Very tough place to play. Yeah, their fans are outstanding. They get after it up there. They're good fans for their team. And sometimes, I don't know what the weather forecast is. I haven't looked at it yet, but you never know what's going to happen with the weather. The wind can be blowing or whatever. But
even in September,
yeah, it can. But yeah, it's a tough place to play.
Let's take a closer look at the Cowboys. This weekly opponent preview brought to you by Intermountain Health, official medical provider for BYU Athletics. They're 0-2. They had a blowout loss at Arizona State to open the year, then a close loss to an Idaho team. They say, well, they almost beat Oregon. Idaho did. Yeah. And then they went into Laramie and got a win.
Yeah, and at Arizona State, we're finding out is a very good team. You know, that score surprised me week 1, and now I see what Arizona State did beating Mississippi State this week. That explains it a little bit better.
Wyoming is -4 in turnover margin through 2 games. They've yet to record a takeaway. You had one of those rare games where you did give it away a few times on Friday, but it was even in the margin by the end of the night.
Yeah, thanks to our defense for getting some takeaways and evening that out, and that helped us preserve the win. But yeah, we need to take better care of the ball this week for sure.
Wyoming does have 14 TFLs in 2 games. They can get after you.
They can. They're good defense. There's not a lot of film this year, just the first 2 games, but we've looked at all of last season, and they played very good defense last year. They're tough to run the ball against. They're very disciplined, and they're just a tough team. I would say just a physically tough team. And mentally tough. They're not a team that's going to give you anything.
Back to personnel notes, we saw that you used Enoch Navahine and Miles Davis, and even Sione Moa got a couple of snaps, I think, as well at running back because you were down your top 2 guys on Friday.
Yeah, and you'll see those guys again this week for sure.
You said LJ's probably doubtful. How's Hinckley looking? If you can say anything about him.
Not looking good either for Hinckley. So yeah, you'll see Miles and Enoch and them. Sione and Pokai, we got to figure out, what their role is as well.
Yeah, so that's the name we haven't seen yet, but somebody I thought looked really good in camp, and you did too. Pokai Awa or Pokai Haunga, freshman out of Timpview High School, might get in the mix.
He might, yeah. Pokai's one of our. We think he's a really talented guy. We've just been trying to decide what's the best way to use him, and whether or not to redshirt him, or whether just to turn him loose. And so, but injuries might dictate that it's time to do that. We'll figure that out.
The football cliche is next man up, but there's a reason that they're the next man because there are guys that are ahead of them. How do you feel about your running back room right now?
Good, yeah. Enoch stepped up, Miles played well. Just next man up is exactly right.
And you hope that long term you can see both Hinckley and LJ back on the field.
Of course. Yeah. LJ is a special player. He's a really good football player. We want him back, and Hinckley's a good player too. And so but this is part of the game. You're gonna have injuries, and people have to step up. And we have a lot of confidence in Enoch and Miles.
Always good chatting with you, Coach. Thanks. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks.
Good to be here.
All right, thanks, Coach. Tomorrow night, join us for BYU football with Kalani Sitake as the coach. Kalani Sitake and our special guest player look back at Friday's win and ahead to Saturday's showdown with the Cowboys. Tuesday nights, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the BYUtv app and ESPN+. Coming up next, BYU defensive coordinator Jay Hill joins us as the Coordinator's Corner continues. We're brought to you by JCW's The Burger Boys.